I'll tell you what, folks, the Democrats are out of control. They literally want to hand your children off to sex predators, traffickers, kidnappers, without even you having any knowledge of this. You may ask what I'm talking about. This is a bill that is moving its way through the California state legislature that I'm telling you every parent, not just in California, but across the country, better be aware of and better sound the alarm on, because I'm telling you, the Democrats are giving a green light to kidnappers to come and just take your kids. Sounds sensationalistic? It is not. We're going to go through this on the program today. Of course, if you're watching, hit the like and subscribe button. Stinchfield 1776 on all the social media platforms. Folks, let's get the show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
Okay, I want to talk about California AB 495. This is basically a dream bill for a child predator. This is a dream bill for a sex trafficker. This is a dream bill for a kidnapper. Anybody that wants to do harm to an adult by doing harm to their children, California AB 495 is right up their alley. So it's being billed as a compassionate solution that would allow for non-relative extended family members, family, friends, mentors, teachers, clergy, to go to school and pick up your kid, specifically if it involves the sudden separation of an illegal alien being detained and ultimately deported. Now, we all know that there's a very easy solution to this. You don't need government involved. You just have the parent go right now to school, fill out one of those forms that says this person can pick my son or daughter up at school, and you're done with it. Take the action now to take the proactive steps that in case of an emergency, someone can pick up your kid. This AB 495 is a one-page paper that asks someone to sign and make a declaration that they have the authority to take your kid without calling the parents, without the parents' approval, go enroll your kid in another school without the parents' approval. Now, do I think there's going to be widespread kidnapping? No. Do I think it opens the door for cases of kidnapping? Yes, especially, and this is my prediction, especially high-profile individuals where lunatics want to hurt them in some way. Political figures, they'll go after the kids. Media figures, they'll go after the kids. Actors, actresses, they'll go after the kids. We know that there are lunatics out there that exist. Now, Pastor Jack Hibbs, you know him as a great fighter for California, local pastor here. He said something that I have never heard him say before. And this fighter for California says if AB 495 passes and you're a parent in California, you've got to leave. You've got to flee the state of California. I've never heard Jack Hibbs offer up the notion that we should be fleeing California. He has always been a stand and fight guy. Well, he appeared on Fox News talking about this. Roll cut 28 for me.
The CA Family Council says the following here. The Family Preparedness Plan Act of 2025, Pastor, would allow unrelated adults, broadly defined as an adult caregiver with a mentoring relationship with the child, to assume custody.
This was supposed to be queued up from 56 seconds in, so I don't want to listen to the whole 56 seconds. We're just going to get straight to Pastor Hibbs on this. So as Dan gets that, you have a possibility to queue that up, Dan?
Raised in California, fought for this state. I'll fight for this state. I have always encouraged our people to stay in here and fight this good fight. But now, Trace, it has reached a level where they're coming after our kids. Mm-hmm. And we've consulted attorneys. As you can imagine, we're getting ready. We're circling our wagons. We've studied the bill. Bottom line is this. Normally, the attorneys tell you the devil is in the details. In this case, the attorneys have told us the devil is in how loosely open this is written. It has been written in such a way, Trace, that it can be interpreted any way. Yeah. It is dangerous. and sadly true. You cannot let your kids now go to school and assume they're going to be safe or not taken away before you come to pick them up.
People say, listen, it's interesting to have a pastor who's been very successful in California.
All right,
You say,
can
listen,
pause it here. If you want to cue it up to the next time he talks, that's fine. Listen, so that's Pastor Jack Hibbs saying it's dangerous for you to raise a family in California, and who made it dangerous? Yes, the illegal aliens in some respects. Yes, the violent criminals that may be American citizens in some respects. But do you believe your lawmakers made it dangerous? The men and women in Sacramento made it dangerous for you to raise a family in California without the fear of your kid being kidnapped. Now, there was a huge rally yesterday on the steps of the Capitol in Sacramento. Parents from everywhere have been coming in to fight for this because the risk of child exploitation and abduction is very real. When I tell you this is a child traffickers and kidnappers' dream bill, I am not kidding around. You're going to have unvetted individuals coming up, taking children without parental oversight, and they disappear. Poof. They're gone. You know, right now we have 600,000 kids missing that came in under the Biden administration. And you are only going to make matters worse here. This is Pastor Hibbs continuing on Fox.
Yeah, exactly right. The last thing a pastor wants to say, right, we want our churches to grow. But if I'm really going to love God and love people, the bottom line is you've got to protect your kids from. Now, this administration, California, Gavin Newsom's really henchman, the author of the bill, Assemblymember Celeste Rodriguez, when she gives her argument, you can watch it on YouTube. Yep. It is absolutely based on what if, it could be.
Right.
It's dangerous. And by the way, we have laws in effect already. This is actually a kidnapper's, a trafficker, pedophile's dream come true bit of legislation.
And this.
All right. So there you have that. And he is correct that Celeste Rodriguez is so far out of line with this bill that she says it's about compassion. Well, all you have to do if you're a parent is be a little proactive. And you don't have to be an illegal alien to get separated from your kid. God forbid you and your husband or you and your wife for driving a car, you get in a car accident. Who's going to pick up your kid at school if God forbid, and I pray this doesn't happen, you end up in the hospital? You got to have somebody in place that can go pick up your kid and care for them. You have to have that plan in place, and you have to have that plan in place with the school. You don't need government to say, okay, give me your name, tell me a driver's license number, don't even show the driver's license, and take away the child. So this is Celeste Rodriguez. She testified before the committee hearing this bill. And we've got about, I don't know, it's really only a few days as we can still fight this before they try to push this through law. But I want you to listen to her testimony. We can roll that.
Nicole Pearson. I'm a mother of three, a child of immigrants, and an attorney who spent her career helping immigrants and fighting human trafficking. I am also desperate to help children affected by ICE raids, but AB 495 is not it. We all know this because in 2021, the federal government faced a swell of unaccompanied minors at the border and was desperate to place them quickly. What did they do? They reduced vetting procedures, and as a result, the Department of Homeland Security has lost track of over now 600,000 unaccompanied minors. Despite this, California wants to do something similar, but even worse. With just one sheet of paper from the internet, California wants to let someone that is not related to your child remove her from school, enroll her in any other school in the state, authorize any medical treatment of her, including mental health services and drugs, without the parent's notice and knowledge or consent. This is not fear-mongering. I'm not being hyperbolic. It's stated right here in the caretaker's affidavit that I printed for you, which I pulled directly from the bill. Line 6 allows this transfer of parental rights without even having to speak to the parent.
All right.
The author claims AB 495.
So you could see, and I apologize, that obviously is not Celeste Rodriguez. Celeste Rodriguez is the author of the bill, though the state capitol TV system has it up there as her with the superimposed name over her. But anyway, you get the point here. You get how dangerous this has become. And here's what I love. the mama bears, the papa bears, but a lot of mama bears, are now rising up. And I don't know if these people are Democrats, Republicans. To me, this would be a bipartisan issue. You don't want the ability of a stranger to just come take your kid. This is Elizabeth Barohana. I'll roll this cut 27.
School or healthcare provider is entitled to rely on the form, which again, nobody has, double checked that this adult, this caregiver that is self-attesting is safe for the child. They can rely on the form with no further duty to inquire, and they are shielded from liability from the parents after the fact. And the most egregious thing on this form is that the caregiver has the option to say that they tried to contact the parent and the parent authorized it, or they were unable to contact the parent.
All right. So if you're the kidnapper, yeah, sorry, I was unable to contact the parent, but trust me, I'm authorized. Folks, fight back, push back, stand up, shout from the top of the mountaintops, show up at these rally events, be part of the solution, not part of the problem. And if you're silent, you're part of the problem. Stinchfield's army is about being loud and proud about where we stand and how we get what we want. And that is safety for us and our children. And, of course, prosperity. Two things that are very hard to come by in California. I'm going to ask you a question, folks. Do you have an emergency medical kit from the wellness company with all of the antibiotics, antiparasitics, antivirals that you need? I have multiple kits. I've refilled some of these kits. Speed of delivery when it comes to getting medications into your body during a time of need is critical. Check this thing out. I mean, how cool is this? Amoxicillin in here. A Z-Pack is in here. Oh, by the way, ivermectin is in here, right? So you come down with COVID, you start popping that. They got a handy-dandy little guidebook as well that will help you through the use of all of this. This is the guidebook. It works great. Folks, you got to have one of these kits. You should have ammunition, water, food, but you need prescription medications as well. The Wellness Company can help you with that. TWC.health/grant. TWC.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT for 10% off, and I promise you, you will not regret having this. The only thing you'll regret is not having it when you need it. TWC.health/grant. Get one today. Use that promo code GRANT. All right, folks, Adam Schiff is scurrying. He is running for cover. What is he doing? Yes, the senator from California now has a legal defense fund set up to help take care of his mounting legal fees coming from his situations of really landing in hot water. Hot water for a few things. One, the Obama conspiracy and being a part of that as Tulsi Gabbard and Pam Bondi starts to set their targets on these collusion hoaxsters. There's that. Then, of course, there's the mortgage fraud, where apparently Adam Schiff is enjoying a 3% mortgage rate on both his Maryland and California homes since refinancing in 2020. Remember, he's got a one-bedroom condo in Burbank, $7,000 less in taxes because he claims that as his primary residence. But wait a second. He's got a monster home in Maryland, and he pays a lot less in taxes because he claims that as his primary residence. So which is your primary residence, sir? Because if your primary residence is in Maryland, as I believe it actually is, then you've committed not only mortgage fraud for the home in Burbank, but you've also committed election fraud because you don't live in California. See, two things can't be true. You can't live in Maryland and be a senator from California, and you can't be a senator from California and live in Maryland. But that's exactly what Adam Schiff is doing. You know, his whole family lives with him in Maryland. I don't think he has any real ties to California other than the fact that he's a senator from this state and the fact that he owns a small condo there. So now he's setting up this legal defense fund. The New York Times is reporting on it. Quote, as a member of the U.S. House, Mr. Schiff led congressional inquiries into Mr. Trump during his first term in the White House. What I don't like about the New York Times is they refer to Donald Trump as Mr. Trump. They should refer to him as President Trump. Going back to Schiff, he served as the lead impeachment manager in Trump's first impeachment, then on the committee that investigated January 6th. Paperwork for the Senator Schiff Legal Defense Fund, filed with the Internal Revenue Service, is dated August 14th. It's clear Donald Trump and his MAGA allies will continue weaponizing the justice process to attack Senator Schiff for holding this corrupt administration accountable, said Marisol Samoya, a spokeswoman for Mr. Schiff. You know how they love to throw stones at glass houses? I mean, they literally talk about what they do to us as if we're doing to them. Now, the only group that has weaponized the Justice Department had been the Obama-Biden regime. President Trump isn't weaponizing anything. Schiff knows it. And so now he's got a legal defense fund. He's going to need it. I think you could see charges filed in this because there are real victims in this one. Unlike President Trump's case in New York, where there were no victims, the bank says we were paid, we were happy with the interest rate, all the loans were paid back, and they still nailed him for a bookkeeping mistake. 32 counts. What a scam scheme. Here, you got a guy, beyond a shadow of a doubt, claiming a primary residence in 2 states. That alone cannot be true. So which one will he choose? I'm sure if he's trying to save money, he chooses the one in Maryland. If he's trying to save his job, he chooses the one in California. Either way, bad news for Adam Schiff. Now I want to talk about another story not far from Washington, D.C., but it shows you the craziness of those on the left. 2 boys were filmed by a girl in the boys' school locker room. This is in Loudoun County. And you want to know who got in trouble for all of this? The boys. So apparently the girl is a transgender female dressing up as a boy. They filmed the students in the boys' locker room. The boys said that the girl, the pretender, made them feel uncomfortable. And do you know what the school did? They suspended these boys. Okay? Now, this policy, which was approved by the school board just a few months after a male student wearing a skirt raped a female student in Stonebridge High School's restroom. You may remember that story. That was national news. We were talking about it here. This policy of theirs requires schools to allow students to, quote, use the facility that corresponds to their consistently asserted gender identity. I'm here to tell you that this policy should terrify every single parent out there. They already saw a boy dress up as a girl go into a girl's bathroom and rape a female student. Now you got a girl dressing up as a boy going in and videotaping the boys, and they punish the boys? So taking videos, taking pictures in the locker room is a violation of district policy. But apparently the Loudoun County public school system was more interested in making an example out of the 2 boys over their discomfort with the gender policy. You will either embrace our radicalness or we will punish you. That's what this is all about. So this turned the boys' lives upside down. I believe they're suspended for 10 days. They're now accused of sexual harassment and sex-based discrimination. They're in their own locker room. Why is anybody filming them? And even if it was another boy filming them, and if they complained, they should be well within their rights to do so. How dare they? Okay? express some kind of discomfort. The Blaze calls them an interloper. Well, that's a good way to describe this person. For daring to express discomfort with an interloper in a place that the Trump administration has made clear must be sex segregated. The boys were notified they will also be suspended for 10 days and slapped with a no-contact order with the cross-dressing girl. Why are we punishing good people? And now here you are training children to punish good people for having nothing more than common sense. I mean, apparently the girl for filming the boys in the locker room will reportedly receive a brief in-school suspension. I will say this is child abuse. These school districts like Loudoun County, and folks, there are many in California. These school districts are engaging in child abuse. All right, you're branding children for sexual harassment and sex-based discrimination because they're uncomfortable of a tranny videotaping them in the locker room. We've lost all common sense in America. I thought these stories were starting to disappear because I thought there was an awakening going on around the country. I guess, sadly, I was wrong. All right, does anybody notice a difference with me? I've lost now, yes, if you can believe it, 12 pounds in just 3.5 weeks on the Energized Health program. The secret is in the science, but it's also in the simplicity. I am not killing myself with workouts. Yes, I work out with weights, and I always had, but I've added in a very small workout to this program. Super easy. I have a diet plan now. I am never hungry. I don't feel like I'm struggling through this diet. It is super simple. And I'm getting myself hydrated. It is all about cellular hydration, and the results you can achieve are absolutely astonishing. And I'm telling you firsthand, folks. I got involved with them. They came to me and said, hey, we want you to try this out. I said, okay, I could tighten things up a little bit. And bing, bang, boom, I'm on track, man. And I credit energizedhealth.com/Grant, energizedhealth.com/Grant. There's coaching involved in this. There's recipes involved in this. The plan is all laid out for you. And again, it is super simple. This is life-changing, mind, body, soul. It's a total body transformation. God bless the folks at Energized Health who are helping me. energizedhealth.com/Grant. Check them out today. Folks, listen to me and listen to me very closely. Everything that is happening in California, the Democrats want to happen across the country. Whether it's the ability to steal your kids with this bill that would allow anybody to walk into a school and take your child simply by filling out a form, or whether it's by stealing the United States Congress through redistricting in mid-decade by changing the Constitution, rushing through the process. You now have congressional districts being drawn in California by senators and assembly members that want nothing more than to draw districts for them to run in. Speaker Rivas up in the assembly. He's drawn a district that's set up for him to run for Congress. That should be illegal. It ought to be illegal to just go in and steal a kid from school. Let's go out to line 2 real quick. Dale in Long Beach, what say you?
Hey, good morning, Grant. It's poorly written. Maybe it has good intentions. Do you happen to know who's actually sponsoring this?
Celeste Rodriguez. She's horrible.
Okay, I actually worked at an elementary school, and nobody came and picked the kid up. So the principal waited and waited and waited and finally had to call the police. But that's probably the proper thing to do. That's just a lack of planning by the parents by not designating somebody to come pick up their children in emergency.
Well, you got that right, Dale, and I appreciate the phone call. And that's how simple it is. If you're a parent out there, just designate somebody. Now we turn to this redistricting scheme by California. The good news is there is a bill that has been filed to stop the redistricting process, a few of them actually. The trick will now be to try to hold all of this up in court if there's any possible way to hold it up in court, this would be the way to do it. Kate Sanchez, Assemblywoman, has filed an emergency lawsuit against the California legislature to stop the unconstitutional redistricting power grab. Why? Because they failed to adhere to public transparency and notice requirements. We told you they had to jam this thing through as quick as they possibly could. And so there is no public notice. There is no real public comment. There's no ability to really read the bills. They're shutting down any kind of discussion. If you don't believe me, just listen to this. Cut 17.
So none of my colleagues are going to read this before they vote on it. Correct. I just want to clarify.
As it is, so I'm good.
Madam Chair, we just...
You could make them better.
We just heard,
I don't think they will.
We just heard
seen them.
both testimony from the author.
We haven't even heard all the testimony, so let's try to get through this hearing on the bill, all right? Let's try to hear the bill in its current form. We have a motion to lay the amendments on the table. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
But Madam Chair, we made the statement that we're making this very transparent.
We have a motion to lay the amendments on the table.
And
we're going to proceed with that motion.
Cal, wait a second. The whole thing is that this is about transparency and that you want fairness in this. We got the language at 8 o'clock. All we're asking is for our input to be taken. You didn't talk to me as your vice chair about this, so here's our opportunity, Madam Chair. All we're asking for is participation in this. And Mr. Tongipa came prepared. The rules state this, that I would be happy to bring the chief clerk in to review this. I don't know why you're shutting this down.
So that's the Republicans being very upset with the chairwoman of the committee trying to push the gerrymander bill through. They got it late at night. So one of the gentlemen talking was, I guess you say his name Tongipa. I always say Tangipa, but either way, he's a great fighter. He's 28 years old, I believe. He's an assemblyman. He's a Republican, and he's fighting the good fight up there. But you can see they're up against a brick wall when it comes to Democrats. Now, the Democrats are going to do what I would tell them to do if I was in charge. Don't let Republicans speak. Push the legislation through. This is exactly what I want Republicans in Congress to do. Democrats in California State Assembly do a better job than Republicans in Congress at doing just this. So here's the result of when you don't have a majority. And it's sad. And I do think there should be transparency in all of this. I mean, you can rush through things because you own the committees, but it doesn't mean you can't let the people know what's really in these bills. Cut 18, talking about how late they got the bill.
And Madam Chair, I would have presented this to you sometime sooner at any other time. I had no time. We didn't receive this, and yet there are authors on this before I even got to see this. I didn't get this till last night because we were not informed. So my question is, since everybody's prepared, since you're so fine with the ACA, is how much time did they get to prepare before I did? Why am I not deserved that same for the 500,000 representatives that I get to represent in my district? Why am I not granted that same right to defend them?
I believe we have a law in California that members get 72 hours before final vote on any legislation to review the legislation and the language of the legislation before they vote.
But Mr.
on
Berman,
that language
did you
as
have
the final version. I saw this language yesterday.
Okay.
So there you go. I mean, the same thing I always tell you. These state capitals, whether it's Sacramento or any other, they're microcosms of Washington, D.C. The exact same bullcorn happens. You ought to be able to read a bill, okay? You ought to be able to push through this. But that's not what they let them do. This is Ali Macedo. He is the Assembly Majority Leader, wanting to know who actually drew the congressional maps. Because I think these representatives and senators drew it themselves to draw them right into a new federal district. Cut 19.
Letting our voters see the maps and make the ultimate decision.
Madam Majority Leader, I understand. I've heard all that. Who drew the maps? It's a very simple question. Names, preferably.
The Assembly. The Assembly did it.
Okay, I'm in the Assembly, and I did not draw these maps.
Well, you're not the leadership.
No, and I'm aware of that. But the same way that in this bill it says that the Assembly Elections Committee, not Chair Pellerin, not Assemblymember Salache, not Assemblymember Bennett, I am a part of that group. So by association, I have been lumped in, Mr. Bennett. So I'm asking, who drew these maps? Not general groups.
The legislature drew the maps.
Who specifically in the legislature?
The legislature drew the maps.
This is transparency that we don't get to know who drew the maps.
The legislature drew the maps.
Do you see?
Again, over 76%.
All right. They sound like robots. The legislature drew the maps. The legislature drew them. You know who drew the maps? The staffers of these representatives and senators who want to go be United States members of Congress. That's who drew the maps. I guarantee you the Speaker of the House, Rivas, had a big-time role in drawing these districts that sets him right up for a congressional run. Mark my words on this. All of this is dirty, but politics is dirty. I'm a big boy. I know it's a dirty game. So now it's time for Republicans to play dirty. And the way you do it is using the courts. Start throwing every lawsuit you possibly can at this. See what sticks. Run out the clock. It's our last-ditch effort because you know what? We're way behind in the California State Assembly. Way behind. Well, folks, I want to tell you about Patriot Mobile. You know, I have a Patriot Mobile phone. I'm so happy with it. Patriot Mobile is all about supporting the programs, causes, charities that believe in the things we believe in. Why would you be giving money to the big three woke cell phone companies that literally practice DEI policies inside their corporate structure? They literally fund places like Planned Parenthood. When you could be with Patriot Mobile, that's supporting our veterans, that's protecting our gun rights, that is literally taking the fight when it comes to free speech to the left, putting "In God We Trust" signs in schools, and for this, the media comes after them so hard. Patriot Mobile. I urge you to get a Patriot Mobile phone. Hey, I got a Patriot One plan. One phone, two lines, two different networks. So in an emergency, one network's down, I got it covered. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. That's where I want you to go. Use the promo code GRANT for a free month service, and I promise you, you are not going to regret it. You can call them at 972-PATRIOT, 972-PATRIOT, and you tell them Grant Stinchfield sent you. All right, I told you when it comes to redistricting in California, Republicans are going to have to get creative because, as we know, they are in the minority. And again, I'm going to tell you, we can scream and yell about Democrats not letting Republicans talk or shoving a bill down their throat at the last minute. Guess what? That's politics. That's what happens when you don't have any power whatsoever. So what do we do to stop that? Yes, I love the fight we put up in committee hearings, and you raise awareness, and they give me sound bites I can play here. So all of you throughout Southern California can hear just how evil and despicable the Democrats are. Yes, all that works. But we've got to come up with a legal remedy. Well, one of our favorite assembly members is Carl DeMaio. So he has a now idea to stop the Democrats in their tracks. And he's taking on California law in the fact that this California, quote, independent redistricting commission has a 10-year moratorium on running for office. So if you are on the redistricting commission, you cannot run for elected office for 10 years. And the reason being is they don't want you drawing your own district. Okay? Remember how I told you, we don't pick them, they pick us. And in many respects, this independent commission is appointed. They're appointed by Democrats, so they're just doing the bidding of who wants the districts drawn. But still, there is this moratorium. If you're on the committee, you cannot run for office. So Carl DeMaio says, hey, anyone who votes for this redistricting plan in the state legislature can't run for office for 10 years. You instantly take yourself out of the mix because you're in favoring yourself. You're going to have to vote on House districts and Senate districts in California, too. Here's Carl DeMaio, cut 6.
I understand you just heard from the Democrats. What is this, their 10th press conference in a span of a week with all sorts of misinformation, trying to fool California voters into thinking that they're protecting democracy. Let me be very clear. What's happening in this building is a direct attack on our democracy here in California. Gavin Newsom and Sacramento politicians have never supported the Citizens Independent Redistricting Commission. They opposed it in 2010. They have been lying in wait for this moment. They are trying to use the hatred for Donald Trump and what's happening in Texas as their corrupt vehicle to get what they've always sought, the power back to manipulate districts so that they get to choose the voters versus the voters choosing the politicians.
Well, Carl DeMaio is right on that. But that's what happens when you're in power. So this idea that he's going to put a 10-year ban on running for office if you vote for this, taking this cue from the Constitution, to me seems like a pretty good idea. Now, he calls what's happening at the state legislature level corruption. And I actually believe it could be described that way. Because they're trying to make an end run around the Constitution of the United States. Does that sound familiar? When was the last time you saw a Republican in any state legislature or a Republican at the federal level say, you know what, we need to change the Constitution? Whether a state constitution or our beloved federal Constitution. Now, you hear Democrats talk about changing the Constitution all the time. This is how, when I say Democrats don't respect the Constitution, I have backup for that claim. They constantly want to change it. Here's another example of wanting to change the California Constitution for their own benefit and their own personal gain. It's not about what's best for everyone. It's about what's best for Democrats. I can't remember the last time even a squishy rhino Republican talked about changing the Constitution. But you hear Democrats talk about, let's overturn the Second Amendment, put limits on free speech. All these kinds of things the Democrats want to do to change the fundamental values of America. And really, that's what's at stake here, the fundamental values of America with this redistricting play. Carl DeMaio again, cut 7.
Make no mistake about it. What's happening in this building is pure corruption. It is illegal. It is unfair. And I believe that Californians, whether they are Democrat or Republican or somewhere in between, Californians are fundamentally fair people. And they are going to reject this scheme because they will see through it. And Gavin Newsom not only is trying to play on people's hatred of Donald Trump and this sideshow happening in Texas, but Gavin Newsom knows that that's not enough. The hatred of Donald Trump, the example of what's happening in Texas, is still not enough. What Newsom needs is he needs to lie to voters on their own ballot. If you notice, the language on this initiative has already been revealed. You've seen it. We've seen it. They have been poll testing for weeks what language to use on the ballot to deceive California voters.
So here we go again, folks. It's going to be the language on the ballot. It will be the Election Fairness and Integrity Bill, which you and I all know there's nothing going to be fair about this. Integrity is out the window when it comes to this. How do I know? Just because of their behavior. Again, I played you one clip of discussion being shut down. Here's another clip of discussion being shut down. Again, Assemblyman Tangipa, cut 21.
Allowed plenty of time for you to ask.
Please.
I have allowed you plenty of time to ask your questions.
It took me a
I have
long
allowed you plenty of time to ask your questions.
As the presenter
Assemblymember Berman, you may close.
Madam Chair, please.
For my Republican
Madam Chair,
colleagues,
there are so many more questions.
But I am going to forego that.
We do need to know.
Just ask for an item.
Madam Chair, we asked you.
Would you be willing to answer my questions that I have prepared?
I am following the direction of the chair on how the committee hearing will proceed.
All right,
Mr. Berman,
pause
can you
this.
explain to me?
But you hear what just happened there? Would you answer the questions that I have? I am following the directions of the chair. That means, no, I'm not going to answer your questions. It also means I'd actually like to answer your questions, but the chairwoman said, no, I can't answer your questions because that's how we're running this deal. And it's a bad deal. It's a bad deal all around for everyone involved. Make no mistake about it. That's going to do it for us today. Thanks for watching Stinchfield, the podcast. Great to be with you. GrantStinchfield.com is the website. Stinchfield1776 on all the social media platforms. And listen, if you're watching now, like the video, subscribe to the channel, please. That's so important. And if you can, share the podcast with all of your friends. Word of mouth is the best way to build Stinchfield's Army. I'm grateful to all of you. Stinchfield's Army rolls. We'll see you tonight on the Real America's Voice show. Thanks for watching, everybody.